This video is going to go over a couple of problems dealing with dividing by two-digit divisors. So I want to remind you of a couple of steps. First, we are going to estimate, because we estimate with everything. Second, we are going to divide, and we're going to stick with the box method that we've been doing lately. And finally, we are going to check with multiplication. So the first problem that I want to work on is 342 divided by 38. Well, I can see that this is a two-digit divisor that is not friendly to me at all. So I'm going to round this to 40. And next I need to use my relationships to find a compatible number. So I'm looking at 4 and I'm looking at 34. Well, I know that there is nothing times 4 that gets me 34. However, I do know that 4 times 8 is 32. Oops, I wrote that backwards. Is 32. So because that's a close relationship, I'm going to change the 34 to a 32. And then anything after that is a 0. So now I'm pretty lucky because I have some zeros that I can get rid of. So remember, if I have a 0 on the divisor and the dividend, I can match them up and get rid of them to make a simpler problem. So now I have 32 divided by 4. Well, then it's just fact families. Because if 4 times 8 is 32, then 32 divided by 4 has to be 8. So my estimate is 8. Next thing I want to do is to divide. So this is a 3-digit dividend. So I'm going to make a 3-digit box for 342 divided by 38. Now, at this point, I have to decide whether I want to use guess and check, okay, or list of multiples. And it's totally up to you. List of multiples is all about repeated addition, whereas guess and check is just about multiplication. So you have to decide for yourself which one of those you're more comfortable with. If it's repeated addition, then I would do something like this. My first multiple is 38. In order to find my next multiple, I'm going to add 38 again. So 8 and 8 is 16, 3 and 3 is 6, and 1 is 7. And then I would keep doing that, keep adding my 38. Okay, all the way until I get to the end of 9. Okay, I only have to do up to 9 because I can only place one place value over here at a time. Okay, so I can do that. That's my repeated addition. Or I can use guess and check. So I can just look at, whatever my number turns out to be over here. I can look at it and say, you know what? I think that maybe there are 7 groups. And if that's the case, then I would do 38 times 7 off to the side. 7 times 8, 56. 7 times 3, 21, plus 5 is 26. And then I would adjust. So if 7 was too much, I would go back to 6 groups. If 7 was not enough, I would try 8 groups. So again, it's up to you whether you feel like doing repeated addition all the way down to 9, or whether you want to just guess and check with multiplication. Either one would work. So I'm coming over here and I'm going to be looking for 38 stickers. in a group. Okay? Right here, I only have 3 stickers. That is definitely not enough. So this is 0 groups. I take away my 0 and I'm left with 3. And I need to bring this over. Okay? Now, don't get confused. Think about this. I have 34 stickers, but I have to have 38. So do I have enough to make a group? I do not. So this is also a 0. So then remember, I still do 0 times 38 is 0, and I'm left with 34. And remember, this whole number needs to go over here into this column. And now I'm left with my 342 again. Well, now is where this strategy that I chose comes into play. Okay, if I did all of my multiples all the way to 9, I can start looking for 342 and see which multiple that fits with. Okay, if I'm using guess and check like this, then I have to start using some number sense. So 7 groups of 38 is 266. Well, that's not enough. So I think I'm going to try 8 groups because 7 groups wasn't enough. So I'm going to try 38 times 8. 8 times 8, 64. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 6 is 30. Well, I mean, I'm closer, but that's still kind of far away. So I think what I need to do is I need to try 9 groups now. Put that right here, I think. 38 times 9 groups. 9 times 8 is 72. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 7 is 34. And oh, look at that. That's the exact number we're trying to find. So 9 groups would be correct. And so 9 times 38 is 342. And I have no remainders. So my quotient is 9. Now, again, if I had done out my multiples and I had my 342 down here, that work would have already been done. And I wouldn't have had to do guess and check. But it's totally up to you whether you want to do repeated addition or guess and check. So my last thing that I need to do is to multiply with, or excuse me, to check with multiplication. Well, first, look at this. Look how close our estimate was. We said the estimate was 8, and our real answer is 9. That's very close. Okay, so now let's double check. Remember, we do our quotient times our divisor. So 38 times 9. Well, do we even have to do that? Because look, didn't we already do that right there? We did. So if I already have this work, I don't have to go and do this again. If it's already on there once, that's good enough. Okay, there's no reason to have to do it twice. So that means that there are 9 pages of stickers. All right, so now let me erase some of this and we will do another problem. And I'll keep the steps up there and I'll also keep the 2 strategies so that you can keep looking at those. Okay, again, those 2 strategies, it really just depends on which one you're comfortable with. Some people are really comfortable with multiplication. Some people are still struggling a little bit with their multiplication and they want to have that repeated addition, and that's perfectly fine. So this problem that we're going to do is 724 divided by 16. So we first want to estimate. Well, 16 is definitely not a friendly number. So I'm going to round this to 20. Does 2 have a relationship with 72? Well, it does because 72 is a even number. Okay. However, 72 is not very friendly. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to back that 72 up to 70. And I'm going to round that to 700. Now, be careful with your zeros here because remember you must have a 0 on both sides to match it up. So I do have one here that I can match up here and get rid of it, but this 0 does not have a match. So I absolutely must keep that 0. So now I have 70 divided by 2. Well, I know that if I cut 70 in half, that gives me 35. So my estimate is 35. All right, so now I want to divide. So I have a 3-digit divisor. Sometimes today you will have a 3-digit, sometimes you will have a 4-digit, but the process stays the same. Okay, now again, I need to decide which one of these strategies I'd want to do. Okay, if I want to do my multiples, I can come over here. See, I can do that in my head, but then I think I need to do this if I continue on. So that's my third multiple, and so on all the way down to 9. Okay, or I can do guess and check off to the side. Okay, so I think I'm going to do guess and check. So again, I'm looking for 16 in a group. In this place value, I only have 7. So 7 does not work for me. I need 16. So I'm going to say that there's 0 groups, and 0 times 16 is 0. So 7 minus 0 is 7. And I want to place my 7 over here. So now I need to find out how many groups of 16 go into 72. I'm going to try 16 times 4. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 plus 2 is 6. That's close. I want to see what happens if I add another group. So let's do 16 times 5. 5 times 6, 30. And then 5 and 3 is 8. Okay, so 80 is too much. I need 72. 80 is too much. So I'm going to back it up to here to 64. So I want 4 groups. And 16 times 4 is 64. And I subtract, and that gives me 8. Well, I'm going to carry my 8 over here. Now I'm looking for how many groups of 16 out of 84. Well, I did this work over here. I can see that 5 groups gives me 80. Well, if I add another group of 16, that's going to be too much. So this is my work that I needed, and I already have it. So 5 groups of 16 gives me 80. And now I'm left with 4. Okay, remember, we always have to stop here and we have to say, is my remainder less than my divisor? Okay, 4 is less than 16, so that is my remainder. Okay, so I'm going to give myself just a little bit of room over here. Okay, and now we're going to do the third step, which is check with multiplication. So I take my quotient times my divisor. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 4 is 24, plus 3 is 27. I'm going to cross this off because I'm done with my ones place. I'm going to cross this off as well so I don't get confused. Remember, this 1 is not really a 1, it's in the tens place, so it's worth a 10, so I place a 0. 1 times 5 is 5, and 1 times 4 is 4. And now I add. Okay, so I have 720. Is that the number that we started with? It is not, because I still have to deal with my remainder. Okay, so I have to add that remainder in, and that gives me 724. So that is the dividend that we started with. So now I know for sure that I got that answer correct.